the first tour of my new vego garden. Not fully set up, but I have a vego garden bed up here with flowers growing in. Just dahlias, petunias, some things I don't know. I need to clean my bird bath really bad today. Starting to get flowers in on my nasturtiums. Yes, I threw beans in the back there. Another dahlia. Another nasturtium. And then coming around my footpath. This is the walkway down. I'm trying to get some hydrangeas established. I've tried hydrangeas no less than 3 times. This is hopefully 3rd time's a charm. I was never able to stay on watering, and I've finally gotten a drip system installed, so hopefully that will help. Down here we had to have the yard bulldozed back up. This property's been in my family for 35 years, I think. And the land is receded into the hills from the hill over time. So we had it pushed back up, and I've been moving this. The puppy got into this. He's been very destructive in my garden. You'll see evidence of that. So we had to put a gate up, because this is half of my grandmother's rhubarb that he got in and busted up. I'm moving half of it at a time because I don't want to risk losing it. I want to make sure the other patch established well. But these crowns are from estimate at least 70 years old. So, yeah, we had to put the gate up here to keep him out. It's a disaster here from ripping up weed fabric and getting beds filled, but I'm turning this into just a lettuce bed. And then I have some green stalks, which I absolutely love. I actually have 6 of the brown basket weave ones I need to pot up yet. It's on my to-do list. I was going to put lettuce, but I have like spinach and strawberries, beans, and I really like the fact that they have this hose down here. So if I overwater, I can collect the water and then use it for watering. So that's a cherry tomato, a Barry's crazy cherry tomato I've potted up and got to move yet. And this is where we're ripping up plastic, and I have sand to level with bricks. So that along there is the end destination of my green stalks. And this is my twisted apple tree that's been in here for, gosh, I don't know, maybe 10 years. Maybe not even that. But it's a Macintosh and Honeycrisp twisted apple trees, and I've not been able to find them kind since. They used to be carried at Menards, and they don't seem to carry them anymore. But yeah, we have to put sand down and level, and then the green stalks are going to go all across the front here, where we had to put a fence up because our puppy has been so naughty, and double fence it because he'll still try and bust through it. He's a big old lab puppy, and he just doesn't understand his strength. So we have to keep it double locked up. But I have tomatoes, see what grows better. I have tomatoes in pots. I have tomatoes in grow bags. I did not put any tomatoes in the grounds this year. So this is my herb section. So I have 6 beds here just for herbs. And then I have the whole wall against here is tomato plants. And then I have peppers in these colorful bags all over the place. So I've got dill, oregano, This thyme has hardly been growing. It's hardly moved, but we've had hot temps during the day and still cold temps at night. So, but my cilantro is still trying to go to seed because during the day it's been upwards of 80s, but at night it's still been down into the 40s. And then this, funny enough, I painstakingly dug out all my chives, put them in buckets of water and picked out the grass rhizomes, and because it was so overgrown with weeds, repotted it in new dirt and compost, and the compost was full of weed seeds. And so it has resprouted all of these, I think is that lamb's ear. So I'm going to just end up covering it with craft paper. That's what I usually do with weeds really bad. I cover with craft paper and some wood chips to smother everything off. So, and these are some raspberries I got that I have not figured out even where I'm planting yet. So some of my tomatoes are doing better than others because I did buy some starts. I had some starts. Some spent too long in pots. Some I accidentally made the fertilizer too strong and burned them. So it's been a rough go for some of my tomatoes this year to start. And over here, because I don't have my beds filled yet, I did plant some squash types, some vining squash types in containers to see how those do. And then I have more peppers and more tomatoes, which is funny because I'm the only person in my household that eats fresh tomatoes. My husband will eat marinaras and salsas and things, but I am the only one that eats fresh sliced tomatoes. But I do plan on sharing with my parents and my neighbors, and still 40 might be a little bit much for one person. And then these are 2 gold varieties of cherry tomatoes. And then I have blueberry. That's a blueberry bush I've had in there for 2 or 3 years. Some of them have fared better in containers than others. This is a new one I just bought. This is a dahlia that's kind of been flopping over, but finally looks like it's sprouting some flowers. And then some calendula. Another dahlia that's doing nice but hasn't flowered yet. That's white borage in the back. Along the edge of the wall here, I have more blueberries buried in the weeds I need to dig out. And then these beautiful butter yellow calendula with blue borage in the back. And some dahlias starting to peek through there. Those were ones I bought later. Oh my goodness. Something got in here and mowed down my borage. It might have been the puppy. I don't know. He got in and pulled a squash plant out yesterday because nothing else has really been getting in here. Oh, he got in for a split second while we had our property surveyed and we're trying to cut back the woods some and clean up because we didn't know our woods actually extended. Our property actually extends more than we thought it did. And he got in for a little bit. Well, the gate was down while we were cleaning stuff and came in, ran through a bed, ripped out a squash plant, and dang that dog. I took him in as a rescue, and he's been the most destructive thing with my garden ever. Unless something else got in here, because the top of that dahlia looks chewed up. Nothing else does. It almost looks like it was eaten because I don't see any remnants. He's terrible about chewing stuff up, but Guess we'll have to watch for deer again. So in here I have a potato bed, and I sowed some beans in here. Basically, I've had old seeds. Some of my packs are 4 or 5 years old, so I was just dumping them whole packs at a time because I didn't know how well things would germinate. So that was some beans I wanted to use up. 2 kinds of peas that I fastened up. And this is where he ran through yesterday. Missed these baby squash, but pulled that squash up in the corner there. I planted these cucumbers a month and a half ago because we were having 80-degree weather, and then it dropped to freezing temps again at night, and they've kind of been stunted and have done nothing. Some of them are finally, after a month and a half, now just getting their third leaf or whatever. So I don't know how well they're due, so I re-sowed some behind the trellises. These ones look really rough after those 30-degree temps. In fact, I've planted Kajari melons here twice, and nothing has survived. That one lone one's been like that for a month and a half, so I'm probably going to come through and sow some pumpkins. I was babying these, thinking these 2 starts down here were melons that I had planted, and now I actually think they're borage babies that somehow reseeded from dirt I used last year. So this is 2, 4, 6. I actually have 2 more of the same color to go at the end there once we have the brush cleared up for 8 of these green beds in a row. These are my only pack of silver slicers. Is it Queen Anne silver slicers? And they really took a hard hit with the temps and have done nothing for the last month and a half. And see, it looks like I purposely sowed these because of how they're spaced apart, but I don't remember sowing anything here. But they're so evenly spaced apart, it looks like I purposely did. Like I sprinkled radish seeds in here with the cabbage and broccoli. So this is broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage sporadically in these 3 beds here. And yeah, it looks like I purposely planted something. I don't know. But like, I did re-sow seeds here because, again, these ones have done nothing. They've been in here a month and a half, but those cold temps, I think, shocked them, and I don't think they're going to do anything. So, I mean, I planted those jade cucumber ones just a couple days ago, and they're already darn near caught up to these ones that have been in a month and a half. That's the risk, though, with planting early. So, and then these are various, I think those are rutabaga I threw in here seeds, and then different types of squash on the exterior. Here I have more radishes, some leeks, some cabbage, and more potatoes. These are rattlesnake beans. I do have watermelon coming up, and I don't know what these are. I'm going to guess that these are a weed, but unless it's a potato that I threw in there that I didn't know about it. But those are the start of melons. And then I got pumpkins on the back end that I bought as starts, which I very carefully transplanted. Some are doing better than others. More potatoes, and I have some dark basil on the back here, and then a whole row of bags of peppers. And then this is an experiment because in my season I don't really have enough time for watermelons and melons. I've never been able to get, well, with the deer too, I've never been able to get watermelon. So if I can grow them in these, then the theory is I could actually start plants in these maybe a month or two ahead of time, indoors under grow lights in these containers, and then bring them out and continue to grow them, and maybe actually have enough time to fully grow them and get watermelons, which I've never been able to get in my area really. So this is sowed with green onions and then a couple of eggplants. And this is sowed with a melon start, a watermelon start, another eggplant, and a squash start that I bought. So, and this is my dahlia and carrot bed, which this dirt was not very fluffy. It was dirt from having our wall. Like I said, we had to have our whole yard bulldozed back up and a retaining wall built. And we ended up with an extra pile of dirt. So I dug the sand up and then put compost on top of it. So we'll see how well these carrots do. I had to cover them with weed fabric and water them daily to get them to germinate, but I don't know if the sand is going to be soft enough for them to fully sprout or grow correctly. And then this is a dahlia that's actually getting a flower, and it's funny because I didn't buy any red dahlias. I bought 4 packs of pink and peach and white and purple. But I'm sure it's still going to be beautiful. And then this is another blueberry. This bed is another puppy disaster. So this was the top of the dirt pile in that, which had grown a ton of grass. And so I knew it was going to be full of grass seed. So I laid down weed fabric and put holes where I planted zinnias. And those are sunflowers. Those are teddy bear sunflowers. And then he ran through it and ripped the whole thing up. And so I didn't know where the seeds were, the zinnias I planted. So I had to uncover it, basically. And so the weeds growing through have been terrible. I know little clumps like that of plants is where I got zinnias in. So like right there, right there. I'm not sure if those are. And then over here I have some plants that I'm not sure if those are weeds or zinnias, because I've never grown zinnias. So I might be babying weeds and not even know it, but I'm for sure pulling the grass when I can. And that's another blueberry, and this is one that did not fare well over winter. So, and then along the wall here, well, that's my greenhouse plastic, but I have these 2 trees. I bought dwarfed plum trees, and they were at my local greenhouse, and I'm guessing because some places are zone 4, we used to be zone 3, we're now zone 4. Some places are zone 5. Regardless, it's one of those plum ones that was grafted, and the tree died. And now something is growing from these trees at the bottom of the root system, and so I don't know what they graft plum trees on, if it's a different plum tree. I don't want to pull them because I'm like, if it's a plum tree, if it was grafted on another plum tree, I don't know. But I don't necessarily want full trees growing here either, so I might end up moving them. But this is the other half of my grandmother's rhubarb. I need to fill this in more. I ran out of compost that day, and then they started sprouting, so at the end of the season I'm going to top everything off well, but I split it up some. So this was about 2 70-year-old crowns, the big ones down there, and then I split off some smaller ones. So I will have 2 beds of rhubarb when it's done. And then this is a new bed I just filled the other day late and put way too many corn seeds, but some of my corn seeds were like 5 years old. So I did buy a couple of packs of new peaches and cream and Queen Anne, but then I also had like 5 packs of really old corn seeds, so I didn't even know if those would sprout. So those just went in, and those are short sprout onions. They said that they'll give you a bulb in 5 weeks. because my onion starts failed. I'm not very good at onions. So, and I have 4 more beds to fill. Plus I have 4 more beds I haven't even put together. So I have 4 more. I have 2 more yellow, 2 more green to go at the end there. And then those big white ones will sit at the end of these rows, 3 and 3 on each end for flowers, like nasturtium trailing flowers. And then I do have 10 of those smaller white beds to set up in the middle for, I think, root veggies. So this is my asparagus patch. I did dig them up and transplant them into this bed that we just set up. So I didn't harvest very much this year. I could have harvested some, but because we were transplanting them, I just picked a couple fresh to eat. I found that if you eat them when it's still cold in their first sprouting, they taste very good, but as the heat kicked in, just like a lot of other stuff, they kind of got less sweet. And then this is a new set of asparagus that I bought this year and sprouted in pots and just got in the dirt finally. So I still have to top it off with more Fox Farm compost, potting soil, and then a layer of mulch. That's what I'm working on today. And then once we clear more brush back here some, that other rhubarb bed will sit right there. So, yeah. I'm off to go, I guess, grab some Jack-B Little pumpkin seeds and maybe one other thing to get in where those melons failed. That's my potting shed that needs a makeover. That probably won't happen till next year with everything.